It's really hard to follow up a good poop story, so I'll just do my best. But the storm cloud that I want to tell you about, and I didn't prepare this at all to tell this story tonight, but I didn't even know what the topic was. But the storm cloud that I want to tell you about is the experience that I had, a complete whiteout in a situation where it's a dust cloud storm. And I don't know if you've ever been in the desert during a dust storm, but when there's a dust storm, you can't see anything. Like 15 feet in front of you is like all you can see. And here I am on my bicycle in the middle of the desert, riding across the playa with goggles on and a mask over my face because I was at Burning Man, right? But how does a Stoltzfus, Lancaster County boy, get to Burning Man, right? My dad was a Mennonite pastor, so I was born and raised in that bubble of this Mennonite community. And I won't say that it was all bad. I had two parents that loved me to death so much, so I can't say. I mean, I got it pretty good. But there was also that overprotective nature. Like, I never had the chance as a teenager to, like, test those boundaries. There was no sex, drugs, or rock and roll, really, in my growing up years. The best I could do was listen, at night with headphones and my little cassette Walkman to some Striper. And that was rebellion for me, all right? So how did I get to Burning Man? Well, I came to a place in my life, a couple years before I went to Burning Man, I came to this place in my life where I could no longer believe like a child. I wasn't a child anymore, and I could no longer believe like a child in the religion that my parents had raised me in. And I found it really hard to try to make sense of my life at that point, because as a 43-year-old guy, like, everything I had known and worked on in life and built was about ministry and about religion, about the church family that I was a part of, and about the family that I had built in this Christian community, and about my parents and my sisters and my family. They were all in that. And how could I leave that, right? But I couldn't believe anymore. I couldn't make myself believe as much as hard as it was to try, because it would have been so much easier just to believe, but I couldn't make myself do it anymore. So I'm at this place at 43 years old with children and trying to find myself and, okay, what's next for me? Like, how do I, where's my sense of community now? The church is not for me anymore. So I had heard about Burning Man. I thought, what an adventure to take. So 2 weeks before this festival, for those of you who don't know what Burning Man is, it's a festival out in the desert. There's 85,000 people at a clothing optional event, right? A clothing optional event out in the desert, and they build a city from nothing. And there's these great principles like leave no trace. In the entire festival, there's not a single trash bin. You know why? Because everyone puts their trash in their backpack and packs it out, like we all should. And there's this great community out there, and I had heard about it, and I wanted to see what's. So 2 weeks before the festival, I land what's called an OMG ticket. And I know why they call it an OMG ticket, because there's only 1,000 of these. They go out at the very last. Everyone already has their tickets that they bought in April. But 1,000 tickets go out, and I got lucky, and I got one. 2 weeks to prepare for this, an event where you have to be self-sustaining. You have to take care of yourself in the desert and tent and figure it all out. So I head out to the desert. They built this beautiful space. They built all this amazing artwork that is mind-bending, how they built this stuff. They built a temple the size of like the market, like Central Market. It's a massive structure, and at the end of the festival, they burn it down. But before they burn it down, it's a space where people can go and let go of the things that are like inside, that are like really hard, or they'll remember someone that has died maybe that year or something. They'll put their photo up. they'll write something on the wall. I had a rant to write on that wall, and I was destined to go to the temple to write it. I had my Sharpie in my pocket, and I set out across the playa. Okay, on my bike, ready to go. All of a sudden, this storm just comes in, and I couldn't see anything. And I'm just riding my bike through this whiteout. I couldn't see a thing. Plus, I got the goggles on. Plus, I have this rant in my head that's spinning around. My life is trying to sort it out. What am I going to do next? So I'm coming through, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to keep going. I know there's a temple out here somewhere. I'm just going to ride across this desert till I find it. And I just kept riding. And the heat and the storm and the sand, and it's all coming up, and the tears coming down, it was a crazy, crazy moment for me. But one thing that I had in the back of my mind is you know what? All through life, I've had a decent sense of direction. I'm just going to trust it. And I did, and I set out through there, and I would occasionally stumble on some big piece of art, but finally, I come to the end, and this temple just looms in front of me, this massive structure. And I went in, and I wrote my rant on there, and I fulfilled that. But I'll never forget that moment because, I won't have fame or fortune in life, but at least I have a great sense of direction. Thank you.